For the air traffic controllers at NASA's shuttle landing facility, the opportunity is one of a kind.
I remember looking across the river they were getting ready for a moonshot, and I remember looking over there thinking about that, never dreaming that I'd end up working right here and being part of this space program.
That was really exciting the first time you get to see a shuttle land, and it's something that you never really get used to. It never becomes mundane. You know, it's always an exciting thing, whether it's a day landing, a night landing.
The shuttle's retirement will not end the shuttle landing facility's career. The runway is already hosting space tourism and research firms conducting high-speed and microgravity flights. Such opportunities are expected to pick up for the one-of-a-kind runway with a unique history.
Aqui. Eu tô assistindo o canal da NASA. Tô assistindo a NASA TV. O lançamento dos foguetes.
But the journey doesn't begin on the launch pad. It has to get there first. Rollout means moving a fully assembled space shuttle and its mobile launcher platform across more than 3 miles of NASA's Kennedy Space Center.
You try to think of it kind of like a job, but it does give you a real great sense of pride, to know that you're carrying, the nation's space program on your back.
It begins inside the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB, where the shuttle is joined to its external fuel tank and solid rocket boosters. The entire assembly is built on top of the mobile launcher, which rests on a set of 6 22-foot-tall pedestals. The 12 million pound load is carefully picked up and carried on the back of a crawler transporter, a nearly 6 million pound beast of a machine capable of incredible precision. It takes 20 to 30 minutes for the crawler's jacking, equalization, and leveling system, called the GEL, to lift the entire load high enough to clear the supports. When the vehicle is ready and the weather is right, the shuttle launch director gives the go-ahead to begin the move.
Probably, other than launch landing, one of the most critical times for the vehicles between the VAB and the pad, because there's no weather protection, there's no lightning protection.
The crawler and its extraordinary cargo start off down the 130-foot wide crawlerway, inching along at the careful speed of almost 1 mile an hour. A team of about 30 United Space Alliance crawler drivers, technicians, mechanics, and supervisors operate the crawler during the move, which takes at least 6 hours. The rollout team stays sharp during the 12 to 14-hour shift by taking turns at different jobs.
So it is a long evening, because typically we do it at night. But we do try to change out as far as in the driving positions and the other positions on the crawler, so that nobody gets too fatigued or anything like that.
The crawler has identical front and rear driver cabs, a control room, and 2 engine rooms, each with a huge 2,750 horsepower diesel engine for propulsion. As slow and precise as the rollout is, crawler drivers have to plan ahead.
So you have to really be on your game, and you have to be thinking ahead about where you want to be 1, 2, 3 minutes ahead of time.
Even with so much strength and engineering capability, the crawler has a few more basic needs to support. There are no meal breaks or bathroom stops once the crawler gets going, so they bring it all with them, including the bathroom.
Anything we need, we bring with us. We're self-sufficient as far as water, electricity. We bring our own food, refrigerator, microwave. But one of the most important things that we have with us here on the crawler is our portalets.
There's one more critical challenge ahead once the shuttle arrives at the launch pad. The crawler's GEL system must keep the shuttle level as it moves up the ramp to the top of the pad. Then, drivers in both cabs position the mobile launcher platform over another set of pedestals with the help of a high-tech laser alignment system.
I'll call it the culmination of the trip is, of course, taking the crawler and the shuttle and platform up on the pad and docking it. You know, that's always kind of what you'd call a tense time, and you want to get it exactly right. You want to set it down exactly right.
At that point, the shuttle is secured at the launch pad and rollout is complete. Now the shuttle is ready to start final preparations for another exciting mission.
You know, we're out at the pad, the vehicle's set down at the pad, and we're bringing the crawler down the hill. And, you know, as we're coming down the hill, looking back at the vehicle sitting on the pad, knowing that, you know, you and your group played a major part in getting that out there.
I would imagine, you could say bittersweet, it'll be an emotional event, to say the least.
Discovery gets the job done. It's flown all kinds of missions, and it's done them extremely well. It's a great flying machine, and I think that's what it's remembered for.
With 38 missions completed successfully, Space Shuttle Discovery achieved a robust history of accomplishment for NASA's oldest active shuttle, including 2 return-to-flight missions, the launch of NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, and the deployment of 17 satellites. Along the way, Discovery also contributed to scientific knowledge on Earth by hosting microgravity laboratories in space and carrying specialized instruments that analyzed Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery has a role to play. You can look back on the flights that it's done and the contributions that it made to forwarding the future of mankind.
In recent years, Discovery played an indispensable role in the construction of the International Space Station, the largest spacecraft ever assembled.
Whenever I see Discovery launch, I definitely feel like a proud parent, as do everyone that works with Discovery.
It's the oldest orbiter in the fleet. It's flown more often than any of the other orbiters, and it will take that record with it till it's when it's put away in the museum.
Now headed into space for the last time, Discovery continues pointing a way towards accomplishment. Its payload includes a module that astronauts and station residents will use for years to come on the space station as they continue its cutting-edge research. Crews will even be joined on the station by a robotic astronaut heading into space on Discovery. Robonaut 2, the first humanoid robot to venture into space.
It's a privilege, I think, for us to be able to fly it on the last flight, and it's a real tribute to the folks here and in the other manned spacecraft centers for all they've done to keep these vehicles flying and allowing being able to do all the things they do.
Space Shuttle Discovery blasted into orbit for the first time on August 30th, 1984. It made its mark on the future right away when the astronauts tested a solar array system that would later be used on the International Space Station. On its second flight, STS-51A, Discovery hosted a team of astronauts that used futuristic jetpack to snare a stranded satellite and return it to Earth.
It was an amazing sight to watch Joe Allen with a manned maneuvering unit flying free of the shuttle, no tethers, over to a satellite which was very close by, attach his grapple fixture and fly it back to the shuttle. I mean, that was an amazing thing to see.
Discovery went into space 6 times during its first year, but would make perhaps its greatest impact on NASA after the Challenger accident grounded the shuttle fleet for more than 2 years. When NASA was ready to send its astronauts back into space again, it was Discovery that rolled to the launch pad to carry out the mission, STS-26.
STS-26 was a great event for the team. It described on how it felt like STS-1 all over again.
Discovery was rarely overshadowed during its career. That changed in April 1990, when the shuttle launched NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, deploying it on a mission that would alter the way we see our universe and our understanding of our place in it.
But when Hubble came along, it was, wow, this is a different payload.
Discovery would see the Hubble telescope 2 more times, in February 1997 and December 1999, on servicing missions that saw astronauts upgrade the telescope's instruments and system. Discovery also allowed unique views of some of Earth's closest neighbors. Astronaut Bob Cabana flew into space for the first time aboard Discovery in October 1990 on a mission to launch the Ulysses probe on the first mission to look at the sun's north and south poles.
My first flight, it's pretty amazing to be standing there at 195-foot level looking at this machine that's alive. It's bending, it's creaking, it's getting ready to go in space. It says Discovery on the side, and you just cannot believe in 3 hours or so you're going to be inside there blasting off. It's amazing. It really is.
Discovery was my only night launch, and standing on there with all the floodlights on Discovery, where it's just surreal, and you can hear all the cryogenics. It's very quiet at night. You can hear everything creaking and groaning. It's just the most amazing sight. That's what I really remember about Discovery from a visual perspective, is seeing it just bathed in all those really bright lights at night on the pad.
Along with its important payload, Discovery played its part in international relations as well. Cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev became the first Russian to fly on a shuttle during Discovery's STS-60 flight in February 1994. Astronaut and former Senator John Glenn returned to orbit aboard Discovery in October 1998, after he made history as the first American to orbit Earth on February 20th, 1962. Just as Discovery changed the people who flew aboard it, the spacecraft itself underwent numerous advances during its career. For example, technicians installed a glass cockpit in 2001 that replaced analog dials and instruments with modern digital displays. The spacecraft was also lightened as test instruments for its first flights were removed and modifications to other systems shaved off more weight. Discovery and all the NASA shuttles would undergo one more metamorphosis after the Columbia accident in February 2003.
My proudest moment with Discovery would have to be return to flight after the Columbia accident. We basically found the problem, fixed the problem, and proved to the world that we could continue flying.
Just as it had done 17 years before, Discovery took to space to prove NASA's shuttle fleet was not finished, marking its place in exploration history.
The overwhelming sense of the launch team was that this is what we do. We have to fly again.
Along with sister shuttles Atlantis and Endeavour, Discovery finished assembling the International Space Station and then helped take new parts, supplies, and experiments to the orbiting laboratory.
I was telling some employees here yesterday, when you walk inside at a Discovery and see it, it still looks like a new car even after almost 30 years of service.
Discovery is expected to be put on public display after the space shuttle retires.
Everyone here that has ever done anything associated with an orbiter will say, I worked on Discovery.
I think Discovery's just because it has flown so much, it has been such a workhorse. It flew return to flight. I think if you go back and look at all the missions it's flown, it really has achieved some phenomenal successes.
And liftoff of Discovery, blazing a trail to scientific discoveries aboard space.
Orion is getting ready to launch. My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. Orion is NASA's next-generation spacecraft. Built with versatility in mind, it can take astronauts deeper into space than we've ever gone before, to an asteroid or even onto Mars. For these missions, Orion has to be one tough spacecraft, withstanding high speeds, searing temperatures, and extreme radiation. Before we can send astronauts into space on Orion, we have to test all of its systems. And there's only one way to know if we got it right. Fly it in space. For Orion's first flight, no astronauts will be aboard. The spacecraft is loaded with sensors to record and measure all aspects of the flight in every detail. It all begins with launch aboard a Delta IV Heavy rocket. As it punches into Earth orbit, Orion will jettison its launch abort system. The abort system is a safety feature designed to pull Orion and its crew out of danger if there were a problem with the rocket during ascent. Orion's journey is just beginning. As the spacecraft and the upper stage begin their first lap around Earth, Mission Control in Houston is monitoring the progress of the flight. Orion's over 100 miles up and going about 17,000 miles per hour. Just as it passes over the Indian Ocean, we lose communication. This is expected. The communications link we have through satellites to Orion is momentarily lost, but Orion continues to receive and process data. Its computers can handle 480 million instructions per second.
Oi?
Imagine you are traveling with Orion as the flight test continues. One orbit complete.
Hã?
Time to go.
Que é isso?
The upper stage of the rocket fires again, like the setup.
Que? O quê? O que é isso?
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth. 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up and once back.
Você falou o que aí? Não entendi.
But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record.
Hã? Eu não entendi, você tá falando inglês, não tô entendendo. Ele tá falando inglês.
The upper stage of the rocket triggers separation. Orion's jets fire to turn it into the proper position to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. No matter what happens now, we're coming in. 75 miles above Earth, the spacecraft enters the atmosphere. Things happen quickly. We're now traveling more than 20,000 miles per hour. Air particles pushed out of the way heat up. An envelope of hot plasma surrounds the vehicle as it plummets towards Earth. The plasma reaches temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, almost twice as hot as molten lava. This may be the most dangerous part of the flight. Mission Control is monitoring all the data from the spacecraft, and then we lose communication again. No data can penetrate the plasma. Orion is on its own. Orion is inside a fireball. Onboard systems ignite jets to keep the ship pointed correctly, so the specially constructed heat shield takes the full brunt of the inferno. This is the largest heat shield of its kind ever made. Orion's computers command the spacecraft to bank like an airplane, keeping a precise path to the landing site. Even though we've slowed from 20,000 miles per hour to about 300 miles per hour, we're still traveling amazingly fast. We must slow down to safely land in the ocean. Luckily, we have parachutes. Specially designed for Orion, the parachutes help us hit the brakes, but not too quickly. One day people will be aboard, so deceleration must happen in stages to keep things comfortable for the crew. The forward bay cover jettisons. Two drogue chutes deploy and slow the returning spacecraft down to 175 miles per hour. Then, the three main parachutes open. Once fully engaged, this canopy would cover an American football field. It takes parachutes this size and strength to slow our descent to 20 miles per hour, and then splashdown. For this first flight, we won't have astronauts inside, but we still have some very precious cargo. The flight data from this mission is stored inside the Orion spacecraft. While our flight might be over, there is still a lot of work to do. Onboard sensors recorded every detail, from launch to flying in space, to re-entry to landing. Flight tests are difficult and complex, but they give us confidence that the systems we have designed work under real flight conditions. It's great to be a part of this first space flight for Orion, and we're looking forward to beginning a new chapter in human space exploration.
One small step for man, and one giant leap for mankind. A team of daring space pioneers embarked on a pair of experimental rocket projects to study the Earth and the heavens. With eyes on the sky and the future of space exploration, flight controllers inside NASA's Mercury Control Center watched America's space program take flight. And so here, the story of American space exploration began.
In the late 1950s, the earliest chapters of American space exploration were written along Florida's central Atlantic coast. Later known